how do you use our indicator when there are no levels for the pre-market or overnight session? We're going to discuss that now. It's about 7:26 in the morning. We just posted a quick update to our community about how to do this with a little bit of markings on screen. We're going to discuss that now, right? So very simply, obviously, the futures are running, right? And really, we have instructions here. You can manually map the levels forward until the new session begins to get targets and entries. Our rule of thumb is until about that 6:30, 7 a.m., around that time frame, until the volume shifts and until the markets, foreign markets begin to close out and shift, our levels for the previous session will be respected, especially into the open of the session, right? So obviously you can see here futures market's going to close EO day 5, open back up 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what you're looking for is simply the levels there, right? And so you can see here, if I were to take my cursor and just put it at this price level, 6371.50, you can see if I were to stretch that forward, you could really see how this would work, right? So we're going to do that now. Let's just stretch a zone forward. So there's one, and we're going to go with another one. And there's two. Now don't worry, we do have a pre-market indicator that we use, and we're going to release that, but it works in harmony with all of our indicators work in harmony with one another, okay? We've got one flagship and 4 primary, right? So that essentially you'll have one screen with the indicators. They work along with any system, and you can use our system with it. The purpose of the indicators is confluence, analytics, and to give you what we're looking at as far as targets. This is priceless to have it prior to the market. You'd be very much remiss not to have this. And so what we're doing is saying, look, if you're going to trade the overnight session into the morning, we can show you how to do that too, all right? So the final thing is, now we're just going to stretch forward our LIS, all right? Now here's the LIS here. And here is, let's just go ahead and make sure that we've, let's just go ahead and, so that you keep track of that LIS there. All right, cool. So there's the LIS1, or sorry, LIS2. And then let's make sure we make a note of LIS1, right? There we are, LIS1, right? And what we're saying is this. If you were to just stretch forward the zones, and you can manually do that now, because we don't cover the overnight session. Why? Very, very simple. We're asleep. That's why. These are human researched, human analytics, right? We do use, obviously, our brains, and we do use calculations and algorithms, right? For sure. We can absolutely use AI for calculations and computation, but we've got to calculate, we've got to go and look at the actual volume, shares. There's not a lot happening in the overnight session all the time, right? And so when we look at this, we understand where it's going to go, but we have to do calculations, and quite frankly, the team has to be up to do that. So with that being said, we will provide this analytics, what have you, but it's after we finish with making sure that we've got all the bells and whistles worked out with our flagship indicator here, okay? And so what we do is we simply just stretch this forward. That's it. That took me less than a minute to do. And what we're looking for is the stock's reaction, the ticker's reaction to our zones and our levels. We understand these zones mean something to us. They're not arbitrary. And that's why when you see before the market, you can see how the market comes down close to the zone. At the zone, it reacts. Comes down. Now, how do you know? Again, we're going to talk about this ad nauseum so that you understand. Watch our other videos to understand a little bit more. How do you know when it's going to reverse here? What we're saying is we know off of our levels, off of the LIS1, that is indicative underneath it, sell pressure. And we know we're going to take out our targets. First target there, LIS2, more sell pressure. Going to come down. Where are we going to see a reversal? In our system, based on our analytics, we're going to see a likely trap, stall, or reverse right here in this zone. And you come down to it barely, and you see a buy up. See the buy up? Come down to it again, barely see the buy up. Well, ultimately, here's the rule of thumb. Just like anything else, when you keep testing it and the orders continue to get eaten up, you're going to breach it ultimately. So that's why 1, 2, 3. boom, you've got a triple bottom here. A hard double, slightly third, and you're going to either finally those buy orders. But that doesn't mean that they're completely gone. It just means that they're going to dissipate, and ultimately, yes, they're going to go. So that's what we're helping you do, is put context to the exact movement, why it's doing it. Now you know when to check the tape. Now you know when to expect a long tail buy up. Now you know when to expect a reaction. Now you know when to move your stop. Now you know when to trail. So many different things that are beneficial. Now we stretch that forward, and as the market opens, right, we're looking for the reactions. Now when we see that reaction here, this is a prime opportunity right here. Let's grab that right there. I mean right there, right? We have rules when it comes to the zones. They still apply no matter what time. If you're an inexperienced trader, when you come in this area, this is not the time to enter a trade right here. You don't do that in the middle. That doesn't make any sense. Why? We told you, trap, stall, reverse. That's what that means, right? It's a great entry if you get it right for the reversal, but you need to understand the rules. Inexperienced traders stay out. This is your target, right? Experienced traders trade the edge. Therefore, when you come down here and you expect the bounce, you would enter right here where my cursor is, and you got the trade. You close on the 15, the next one dips down. As it comes back to there, you enter, and you're taking it level from this edge to that edge. This is where you have to move your stop, right? With our system, with this indicator, with your system and this indicator, we're giving the actionable targets and the risk levels. Therefore, it's very difficult to take rapid and multiple losses. You can reduce what we've done. We've been able to reduce our loss count based on the levels here and understanding that they mean something. They're not arbitrary price levels. There's actual orders, there's actual people, volume, flow, hedging, dark pool, and a number of other things at these levels, right? The zones and the majors. Therefore, for us, this is what we're saying. It is nearly a fact that this thing is going to have a reaction here. We just need to figure out how far deep it's going to go up. Just like the first attempt, you got probably, let's see here, 617, 634. So you got a solid 20 points or so, 15, 20 points. Another one, 30 points, 40 points, right? That's what happens when you first come into the zones, okay? So we realize that those orders, given the sentiment of the day, are still there. The overnight session is going to require some more analytics. So using your own analytics, your own brain, you've already factored in, for example, is there any detrimental geopolitical news, right? That would make these zones, negate the zone. Now, if it does, you wouldn't even come up here anyway. So it wouldn't matter. You'd be way down here, right? You'd be way down here. Nothing, it wouldn't matter. You wouldn't have anything down there until we present our levels for the day. But if we're coming back into these areas, that's gold to us. So here we go. Stretch the zone forward. We manually mark it on our screen, and we simply take the trade at the edge. Again, inexperienced traders, you are not in here. You would need to be in prior to, before we get into the zone, right? This teal color says we're going up. It says buyers. That's what it says. That's why we colored it that way, right? Just to give you a visual, hey, I can expect some type of reaction. No matter what's happening here, I can expect some type of reaction, right? So we take that trade and look at where you start to roll. What we want you to pay attention to is, where are the reactions? i.e., where are the red candles, right? So we got a red candle here, buy volume, corresponds to that buy volume there. Red candle there, right? Buy volume here, corresponds to that buy volume. So we know when the reaction, see this long tail? This long tail can really crush someone. You can, an inexperienced trader can get in right here, right? They can get in right here, thinking that they're going to continue. They get a hard buy, a hard drawdown. That's a stop out all day. But it's not a stop out for you. Why? Because you're following what we said, right? And there's your second entry if you miss the first, right? Right? Technically, that's your third entry. Your second entry is the breakout here of the zone. Okay, see that? So we got 1 into the zone, the edge. 2, the breakout of the zone, the edge. 3, the edge. And then 4, the edge. What's your target? LIS1. That's where we're being we're gravitating to. LIS2 is the final. That's why you see this hard drawdown. Again, it is 7:30 in the morning. We're going by what was posted yesterday until the new levels and the day's session starts. Look how powerful this is. It's giving you the explanation of what is sitting at these levels. And even now, you're seeing it react there. So for those of you guys who are scalpers, this is a dream. Let's go down to 1. Look at that, right? Now, I mean, we can't, again, you can't make it any more perfect, right? So especially here with a retracement. Now, there's a rule, the rule of thumb, no matter who you are, unless you're just a highly inexperienced trader, you do not take the first breakouts, you wait for retracements, right? So, and you can do it on any time frame, right? You can do it on the 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, it doesn't matter. But your structure, your time frame depends on you. So in this case, we're on the 1, and we've already entered down here, right? So this as you come up into this area here, but even on the 1, you can see the rule is true. You don't take the first break. See, there it is. And we get a retracement and we rock it into it. A retracement and we rock it out. A retracement down to the edge and we rock it out. If you just stay calm, use your tools, use our indicator for confluence with any system, it will give you the data that you need. So we're putting this out so that you can understand it is going to take about 10 minutes of work. You do need to understand what you're looking at. And our goal is to put enough of these out here so that folks can understand, because every day the levels are working out. Now, obviously, there are going to be some days where the market extends beyond. No one has a crystal ball. No one knows the exact. What we're saying is this is our exact level. And if it breaks significantly below that, then we did not factor that in for the day. We'll go back to another day, right? Perfect. See, EOD comes out, comes back up, and then it just breaks. Well, this was an aggressive Friday. We did not factor in this much run, and that's fine. You can use your own, system levels, whatever, to get the remaining here. That doesn't happen often. Typically, we're within parameters. See that? I mean, that's perfect, right? Closes right at our level there. We like to see that kind of stuff. But there are times where when there's geopolitical news, when there's a war, when there's some type of catalyst or catastrophe happening, you're going to see some extra sell-off, all right? And that's just a part of the game. That's just a part of the trading and how things work, okay? So that is how you use our levels for pre-market action. We have a pre-market indicator that we will release. It is our levels and system and some other bells and whistles there only for pre-market action, and it has a specific rule sets and ways to trade it in harmony with our system. Again, everything works together. You can use our system with any system. Why? It's based on the pillars of the market, volume, volatility, price action. We're actually calculating actual KPIs that matter to get these levels every day. That's why sometimes there's a drastic difference because the market shifts. You can see way up here is a regime line, right? This tells us that there is significant sentiment of fear and sell-off in the market. What does that mean to us? This means that buy volume will never be as strong as sell volume in this current regime. So this means that when you see the sellers pile in here, you're going to see some aggression with that, which is why this happens during the market. And after market, when the volume is lighter, you see some buyers coming in here, right? If you want to trade that, no problem. We've got the setup is here for you. More to come. We're going to have an awesome day. Expect the levels to be posted today by 9:15. There's volatility in the market. And I'm telling you, this thing is really cooking. If we were to go over to NASDAQ, you got the same thing, right? What would you do? All right, let's take a look here. We've got, let's go here. And let's go here. And we'll stretch it forward, right? We'll do the same here. Stretch it forward. Right? Again, just zoom out and look at where the reaction points are. All right? Just take a look. 1, 2, 3. See that? Off of the bottom of a zone. Right? Again, you're seeing this in live action, right? It's the morning here, right? Right? You saw us just stretch it forward. Look how priceless that is. Where's your level? No problem. Level 1. Right there. That's your target. You notice there's nothing in between these two. This is a huge target. 2-3, 305, 2-3, 383. I mean, that's huge. You want 80 points? Incredible. Up, down, no problem, right? overall target number 1 is going to be your LIS 2, and then LIS 1 way up here. We're not hitting that right now, right? So yes, using our indicators, this is why we don't market to brand new experienced traders or anything like that, or we don't have folks coming in, because you do need, you need something. If you've been trading for, a month or two, now you should understand some things about the stock market, right? But you do have to understand what you're looking at and what you're trading, all right? So that's why our indicator works with every system, and we're going to keep giving you training and keep giving you different ideology and what we see in the market so that you can basically use these indicators. It's a leading indicator. You can use it to your advantage every single day. Going to be an awesome day, folks. This is how you stretch forward and use our indicator, the Level Beast Market Map Indicator, for the pre-market session. It works in harmony with our pre-market indicator, soon to be released. Happy trading.